Why does the Bible tell us to fear God? Hey guys, it's John. I'm back again. Why does the Bible tell us to fear God? This is a great question, just came in on the comments the other day, and I wanted to jump on and make this video for you guys because I think it's an important video. Because though I've talked about this in other videos and I've not made one that was directly at it. Why does the Bible tell us to fear God? Well, there's a lot of reasons why the Bible tells us to fear God, and it's a myriad of reasons over centuries as to why the Bible tells us to fear God. And the fears have morphed and changed over the years. You know, early on, the original teachings of Jeshua were handed down through oral tradition, right? And when the various sects of Judaism who wanted to find a Messiah started working towards that goal of having a Messiah, they started creating the stories and the things that would make the prophecies real. For instance, let's go back to the very basic, the very first one, the birth of Jeshua, right? There's so many fallacies in that first story that people seem to forget. Number one, historically, there is no evidence that there was ever a census taken during that time period where men had to travel back to their original hometown to be counted. There's no evidence of that anywhere. But it's a Bible story, right? Second, they say that Jeshua was born in Bethlehem. Now, did you know that there's two Bethlehems? There's one near Nazareth, and there's one near Jerusalem. And they claimed it was the one near Jerusalem. Why did they do that? Because the one near Jerusalem was in the prophecies and would make him coming from the land of David, or the King David, which would have fulfilled the Judaic prophecies. The concept that Jeshua is of the line of David. There's no evidence of that anywhere. It's just in Judaic prophecies impressed upon Jeshua's life. So let me ask you this. So if there was no census and he was born in Bethlehem and yet for some reason still had to travel to Bethlehem, would they have loaded a 9-month-old baby onto a donkey to travel over 100 miles to be counted? Or is it more likely that since he's considered the Nazarene, that he was probably born close to Nazareth in the Bethlehem that was near there, smaller town, and that if there was a census, they had to go there? But do you think they would have honestly loaded a 9-month pregnant woman onto a donkey and walked her over 100 miles? It's really hard to believe. And the fact that there is no evidence of him being of the line of David or him being born in the Bethlehem that's closer to Jerusalem. So the story itself has so many fallacies, and Bible scholars are in agreement with what I just said. They're in agreement with what I just said. This is not me conjecturing. This is actual what historians are saying. So why are we told to fear God? Because read the Old Testament. It's all about God was with this army, so he killed that army. God wiped out the Sodomites. He said, you do bad things and God will come get you, right? But what's the reason why? The reason why is because your religions are trying to rule the masses. And the way they're trying to rule the masses is by saying, if you're afraid, the only way you can not be afraid is to come to God, to come to the church. And then through the course of time, it was like by the time we get to the 300s, the Romans come in and they create the Nicene Council, and they take fear to another level by saying that not only should you fear God, but you should fear not being a Christian. Because if you don't take Jesus as your Savior, you're going to burn in hell, right? So you're damned if you don't take Jesus as your Savior. So this is that messianic stuff, right? So they're saying he's the Messiah. He did not believe he was the Messiah. He did not believe there was a Messiah. Moving on. So then we get up to the Middle Ages, and then it comes into Dante's Inferno when they start writing the levels of hell, and they start adding more and more fear and anxiety. What all of this is really doing is controlling the masses into being in their religion. Now, the religions are some of the wealthiest organizations in the world, especially the Catholic Church. Huge. They have their own country. Vatican City is its own country, right? You go into a church and it's always bedecked in gold and fine garments, and it's an amazingly opulent sort of place. You could go to St. Peter's Cathedral and watch as they come out in all their costumes and their stuff. It's not about simplicity of love. That's about the opulence of religion. The opulence of religion. Then it kept going. It kept going. So now there wasn't enough fear. So 1830, Minister Darby invents the rapture. Now not only do you have to fear, God, and now you have to fear Jesus, but now you've got to be one of the 144,000 souls that's going to make it to the other side in the rapture. Rapture is not in the Bible. It's not biblical. It's just fear. Why would they do that? Because it's a great tool to say, listen, this is the only place you can become one of the 144,000. Right here, right? In the Catholic Church, they created confession. Oh, you can do bad things, but there's only one place you can get absolved of those sins, here in the Catholic Church. Oh, you can get married, but there's only one place you can get married, in the church. If you want to go have it outside, you better come get special permission because it won't be valid in the church. I remember my first marriage. We got her a ring. It was a little too big, but we didn't have time to get it changed before the wedding. And we went and we got married and had the wedding. And then after the service, we're talking to the priest, and it's like months after, and we're talking about how she had to get a different ring, and then my wife suddenly realized that this was not the ring we got married with, and she, oh my God! And so the priest says, "Don't worry, I can solve this." And he did a whole prayer and thing over this ring to make it a blessed ring, and I was like, in my mind, I was like, either we love each other or we don't, and either we've committed to each other or we haven't. The ring being spoken over by that has no value to me. I mean, yeah, it's a good intention, but the idea of I needed this specific man to do a specific blessing over that specific object makes no sense to me, because that's all physical world stuff. That's all fear stuff, right? But my wife was terrified that ring wasn't consecrated. Fear is a tool, and religions use fear very generously. They love to share it, and the reason being is because it brings you more to your faith, brings you more to the religion. It puts more dollars in their collection plate. That is the reason why it is done. And God is love. And right in the book of John, it says, no fear can exist in pure love. So if God is pure love and no fear can exist in pure love, there's no reason to fear God, because there's no judgment or retribution from God if God is pure love. The fear and the retribution comes from the Old Testament, from the old Judaic prophecies that have been tried to be married to Jeshua's life, but they don't fit Jeshua's teachings. That's one of the major contradictions of the Bible, is the fact that Jeshua said, love one another. He didn't say, love one another or I'll damn you to a burning hell. Never said that. Love one another. That's all he said, right? That's it. It's your faith that heals you, right? Love one another. And when you have that expression of yourself, you find out very quickly that you are divine and there is no reason to fear God because you are the wand and the inspiration that directs the love of God or the fear of the human mind. And you can release the fear, and the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. And, you don't have, though I walk through that valley, I always use that. I love that quote. I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Well, if you shall fear no evil because God is with you, then you must realize that God can't be the thing causing fear because God is with you. So that's my thought on this. Why does the Bible tell us to fear God? It tells you to fear God so that the religions had control over you. And that's really it. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. The John of New channel is solely funded by your generous donations and purchases of private readings and merchandise. To help out, go to johnofnew.com or use the donation link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.